Meet 24-year-old identical triplets Ahmad, Khalil, and Malik Jones.
No equipment, all you need is some space, some hydration, some energy, and some action, all right? That's it.
Growing up, the brothers always put fitness first. And while all three of them were attending the University of Pennsylvania, they started a side hustle, training friends and classmates.
This is dorm abs.
We started hosting boot camps with the dorm that we were living in. And the following year, they invited us to continue doing them. So the University of Pennsylvania ended up being one of our first biggest clients.
After graduation, the threesome became certified trainers and launched Trio Fitness full-time with the mission to motivate folks to move, not only to better their bodies, but their minds.
Between the three of us, we have that synergy, we have that trust that you can't really get typically when you're starting to build a business. And it's been easy for us to just transition from being on the same sports team to being on the same business team.
In addition to running Trio Fitness, the siblings are also at the top of the boutique Philly workout scene. Ahmad is an instructor at Barry's. Khalil is a trainer for Rumble Boxing. And Malik is a coach at Unite Fitness.
Then we got 10-minute abs.
In Philly, their classes are so in demand that clients gym hop to catch each brother. The triplets call that the Trio Fitness Tour, or the Trio Triple.
We actually even had one woman, she was visiting from Chicago, so I think she took Khalil's class first and didn't know that we were triplets, and then just happened to go take Malik's class. And then she was like, you guys are triplets, now I gotta go take Ahmad's class. She was here for like a weekend and she took all three classes, like almost back to back.
But at the beginning of the pandemic, Trio was forced to pivot. With widespread gym closures, the triplets no longer had physical spaces to teach their classes. So they went digital.
We started making fitness content on TikTok. We started doubling down on Instagram, giving people workouts they can do from home. Longer follow-along workouts, shorter workouts, workouts you can do without equipment, workouts you can do with chairs, detergent bottles, wine bottles. So just making sure that people had the resources to stay healthy at home as best as they could.
Then, in the wake of Philly's Black Lives Matter protests, the brothers decided to use their platform for good and shifted their Instagram feed from playful workout videos to serious snippets on practicing meaningful allyship and supporting Black-owned businesses.
We felt as though we had a responsibility to make sure that we use our platform in a way that created more visibility around issues that were really, really important, but not necessarily talked about enough.
And also, let's educate ourselves, because at the same time, the three of us benefit from different types of privilege as well, right? Nobody is completely outside of privilege, but you use it in order to communicate and advocate for the other group.
Through it all, the brothers have embraced a new entrepreneurial side of their relationship.
As rough as things can get, as maybe it's just a hard night of work, we can still laugh about it, we can still have fun with it, but we're always gonna be having fun. And that's why it's really the best situation that we could even ask for.
2, 1, 3. What's going on, y'all? My name is Khalil. What's up, what's up? My name is Ahmad.
How you doing? My name is Malik. And we are Trio Fitness, and our business focuses on health and wellness, especially in the millennial community. We're talking people ages 25 to like 35 is kind of the segment that we serve with training. But then beyond that, we serve everybody with energy and motivation. And we like to think of ourselves as just a company or a brand that really tries to elevate people to just be their best selves, to kind of keep things fun, energized, and then keep everybody nice and comfortable. That's really what we focus on, is keeping our clients super comfortable, super happy, and then everything else good after that follows.
And for everybody listening, we are identical triplets. So if you can't see us, we're identical triplets. So if we sound the same, then that's why.
All right, so I have been waiting forever to meet you guys, and literally, whenever you canceled, I'm like, oh, a piece of my heart has gone away, man. I'm just dying to meet these guys. And so before people get to understand what you're doing, I always say to people, if we pick up our iPhone, we know it's Steve Jobs. If we are sitting there hearing Harpo Production, we know it's Oprah Winfrey. I go, if we literally look at our computers, we know it's Microsoft and Amazon, obviously Jeff Bezos. But why is it that we don't know small businesses, who you are and what your story is? So I want to hear about the little boys well before the education and well before the business. So tell me about where you guys are located and who you are. Like walk me through your family dynamics and stuff like that before, and then school, and then business. And I might just I'm going to interject because I want to sit there and find out like what there'll be things that you say that I'm like, I want more.
Sure. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. So originally we're from Washington, D.C.
DMV.
You know, born and raised DMV, DC, Maryland, Virginia. For people that don't know, the DMV stands for DC, Maryland, Virginia. And if you do know, we're on the same page. Yeah, not the Department of Motor Vehicles, it's DMV, DC, Maryland, Virginia, right? But if you're from that area, then you understand why we say DMV, because everyone kind of just mixes together and you kind of in DC, Maryland, and Virginia all at once. So we're from DC and then moved to just outside DC to Silver Spring, which is a suburb in Maryland. And we went to high school. All of our schooling actually was in DC proper, and so college, yeah. And then in college, we went to the University of Pennsylvania. So we moved to Philadelphia, where we are currently located now, and went to college here, and then graduated and stayed in Philadelphia. But originally, growing up in DC, it was I think we were definitely kind of exposed to a lot of different just ideas, and like you're kind of like in the political hub of the nation and everything. So we actually had a lot of opportunities going to museums, Smithsonian and stuff, and then just being very much close to politics. And whether that was like something that shaped us or not, it was just definitely always an influence, especially with the people we went to school with. And a lot of people are related to like Congress people and senators and stuff like that. So we definitely just kind of we grew up in a very a lot of stuff was going on in DC. As it always is. And the kind of the family dynamic we grew up with, of course, there's three of us, we're identical triplets. So coming up, we actually didn't like being triplets. It was like, we didn't like it at all, actually. And we would avoid situations where people could tell that we were triplets because we're identical and people are staring, talking, pointing and stuff. And in public, it's just like, oh my God, like, can we get a break? Like, yeah, it's kind of, you kind of feel like an exhibit. Yeah. And everyone's, oh, I just had twins, but you guys are triplets. Oh, I've never met triplets before. Oh my God. And then they want to, and here we are, 5, 6, 7 years old.
They want to line you up and be like, oh,
we're children.
Man, I want to see if I can tell the difference.
Right. We're children. So we used to, whenever we were in public, for example, like in the mall, when we would go shopping, we would not walk in a straight line or even close to each other. We would literally spread out across like the hallway. Cause how malls have like wide, like very wide hallways. So one person would be on the one side and then the other person would walk. We're all walking the same direction, but we're spread out
the same place.
Cause if we're close together, then it's like, oh, like then people start whispering and talking. Oh, are they triplets? Or, I don't know, whatever. So it just originally it was like a lot of attention, and we weren't really into it.
So wait a second. I'm gonna see. I'm already stopping you. So it's just the three of you. So it's like it's not. There's no siblings. There's just the three of you guys. Okay.
Yeah, it's three of us.
You what?
Mom was like, yeah, no, we're done.
Well, and your boys, because I'm sure you were like high energy. So I'd be done too.
Yeah.
So with your parents, I mean, are your parents in the military or in politics as well? Because you're in it and you're exposed to it all the time. You're in the space where a lot of, obviously the decisions of not just the country, but the world are happening right in your backyard. Were you influenced by the fact that, and again, were your parents involved in the military or in politics? Or is it the school where because like when we're going to school, I was in Catholic school first, and then after that public school, politics is an afterthought. It's not a major thing. So when you're there and you're being raised in it, how is that influencing your life?
Yeah, I think that's actually a really good point. That's a great question because no one has actually asked us that before.
Yeah.
I'm kind of smart. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I think what's really interesting is we went to Georgetown Day School, which is a private high school in DC. And like Ahmad was saying, it's a school where you had a couple of different like politicians who had kids that went to the school. You had a lot of money in that school, a great education in that school. And I think what's really interesting is that in there, we're very much, I think they would deem themselves a progressive school. So openly LGBTQ plus teachers and staff, open sort of education about all those topics, race education, and just like, a very well-rounded education in terms of identity, right? Kind of learning about different sort of kinds of people and kind of where they come from, and then just the differences between people that also kind of pull us together. So I think it was really interesting because we had a very early exposure to different kinds of people with different identities, different orientations, different races, different religions, and all of that kind of came together. And I think that was a huge part of us
in our education in terms of just being more, I don't want to say worldly, because that's like the wrong word for it, but worldly in that sense, because we talk about travel like that, but like, you know, in that sense of understanding different kinds of people. I think that was a huge piece in getting us to try different things and meet new people and just kind of be in general very social, which I think really helped us get to this point where we are now. And it's be comfortable with different kinds of people.
Yeah, we're used to talking to so many different types of people.
Yeah.
Regardless of your background or whatever your political views might be or whatever it is, we're just so used to talking to different types of people. And I think the ability to interact with different types of people is like one of the most important things you can have, especially if you are a small business owner.
Yep.
But that ability was kind of put on display, like the difference between us. And I'm not saying this in a good way or bad way, but just in general, like you could see once we got to college, all the people that hadn't grown up with those different perspectives or viewpoints or like exposure. I mean, there were some people that had never gone to school with Black people before. And like, it just depends on where you come from and like the environment you were raised in. Cause it was clear to us that we came up in an environment that had a lot of different people. And obviously DC is very diverse. But when we got to college, it was like, wow, like you've never heard of this, you've never seen that, or like just things like that we realized that we have an ability and it's honestly, it's a learned skill to interact with a lot of different people and be able to effectively communicate regardless of like the cultural differences that you might have had growing up.
So I'm going to add another dynamic to this question. Your parents are raising 3 identical twins. There are parents where, I'm first generation born in America. There's not one photo that my sister and I, and we are not twins, we are Irish twins. I mean, because they were just like, let's just get the job done. And we were dressed in alike in every single photo up till junior high school, where they'd buy our clothes. They're like, look, it's a different color. It's the same damn thing though. It's the same damn thing. So how is it that you're in a school and it's all about diversity? It's all about uniqueness. It's all about making sure that you're able to stand on your own, stand out, and yet you're identical twins. How did the school as well as your parents come together and make sure that, okay, we are raising 3 boys in this world that we're living in, they're identical, but we need them to be individuals. How did they do that? And what are the individual aspects that make you guys different, that bring you guys together?
Yeah, that's like a really solid question, because I think there was what our parents did was actually have those conversations with the school. I don't think everybody, of course, everyone wouldn't be used to having regular parents wouldn't have that conversation, because they don't have to worry about their kids being, treated as individuals just because they don't have identical children. But our parents definitely had that conversation with the school. And so coming up through elementary school, it was typically a class size. We went to a private school for elementary school as well as high school. So then our elementary school was small enough to where there was only 2 classes, like 2 homeroom classes. And so they would have, every year, one of us would rotate out and the other one would rotate in with another one. So basically there was 2 of us in one class, 1 of us in the other class. And so that was intentional because they wanted to make sure that we still felt like individuals as we went through each year. And so, every single year, I mean, even to this day, people still get our names wrong, which is what it is. Like, if you look the same, you got the same face.
Honestly, like you said, every single year, but it's every single day.
Yeah, every single day. Like, it was like the teachers, they never really quite got it. Only some teachers got it, but the vast majority never really knew if they were calling us by the right name. So I think our parents just did a really good job in terms of making sure they always told us, you guys are individual people, regardless of whether or not everyone else on the outside is putting you in a box, comparing you guys, trying to figure out who's this, who's that, and kind of saying like, okay, cool. You guys are all like the same person, but this one is like the fastest one and the strongest one and the smartest one or whatever. We got that. We still get that comparison every day, but our parents did a good job because they just said, you guys are Khalil, Ahmad, and Malik, and then like that's it. Like that's all that really matters at this point. You guys are brothers, but there was never a focus on the fact that we're identical so much as you guys are a team, you guys work together, etc. But yeah, and they also had different ways of like individualizing us. I mean, just the little things that they can notice as parents about like our personalities and stuff. They can spot that as well. We didn't all do the exact same things, and even up through school, we didn't study the same things. Like Khalil and Ahmad. Khalil, what did you study? What did you study in college?
I studied communication with a minor in consumer psychology, so I was very interested in marketing and psychology in general.
And I studied communication with a minor in international relations and Portuguese language, and Latin American Latino studies.
And then I studied business with a concentration in real estate. And we've all had like quite different jobs, like in terms of internships, in terms of Khalil's worked a retail sales job before. Like there's different things we've all done that the other ones haven't done.
I've worked a cleaning job before.
He's worked a cleaning job, and I've only worked in an office. Like I've either worked in an office or I've worked for like Trio Fitness, but that's been it. And so there's different, we've kind of been able to individualize ourselves throughout the years, but that's absolutely been a point of like distinction for us as well. Like we want to be individuals, so we do focus on certain things that only we like. Even though the world kind of says, cool, you guys are the same person. We get jokes like, oh, each one of you guys has a third of a brain. Like, oh, like, you guys are all the same person anyway. It doesn't really matter. Like people say that offhandedly. Someone told me that the other day, like, it doesn't really matter. They were just saying it. And I was like, I just, it wasn't even worth the conversation, but I hear it all the time,
So as you guys are talking, I'm looking at you. All right, so I'm gonna get the names wrong because like there's no name tags, and so like this, it is what it is. But the two of you guys, and so I'm looking at the two of you guys here. I don't know how, yeah, you guys look like you're brothers, but you don't look like you're twins. You look like you're the baby.
That's right. Yeah.
So because I'm looking at them, like I go, and it's clear that you're brothers, but maybe when you were little clearly, but I mean, I'm looking at your faces and it's clear that you're brothers, but it's not clear that I would say absolutely without a doubt identical twins.
Yeah. So it's like we looked more identical as children, and then as you get older, like the differences start to show themselves.
Yeah.
But the tough part is typically when people don't see us together, they see us walking individually, like on the street or something, and then people don't know because they don't have that type of awareness. It's more like we can spot the differences when you guys are next to each other, but when you're individual, like he's out here, you can't tell who's who if you haven't really spent enough time with us.
And you know what, by the way, Mukhar, when your parents are tired and they're just aggravated with you, they're just gonna call you all the names anyway. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, they never messed it up though. Rarely have I ever heard them say the wrong name.
Yeah.
And it was like a slip of it was more like I don't know what you call it, but they just messed up the name, but they knew in their head who it was. They just like said the wrong thing. That tends to happen with family members. Even we've said that before, where I like mean to call Khalil, but I say Ahmad. But that's also rare. Like it's like one and a, it's not happening.
It's there. All right, let's talk about your major. Your majors that you chose. So communications, obviously, you guys are very you went to a school that basically brought this out of you anyway. And the three of you guys were partners in crime since you were little. So it's like the automatic. I have a team of people where if I don't communicate, I don't get my way. So I need to learn how to communicate early. I go to a school that's extremely progressive. And now the two of you guys out of three are in communication. So why did you choose the degrees? Was it the automatically, of course you're going to do this, or is it something that actually intrigues you that you're like, this is where I want to go, and what do you plan on doing with it?
Yeah, I'll start. So I chose communication partially because, initially when I got to school, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I thought I wanted to study psychology exclusively, but psychology, obviously it's extremely applicable, but depending on how far you want to take it in terms of like your level of education, I didn't want to go to grad school for psychology or anything sort of like anything beyond that. So getting a degree in psychology might not serve me the best in terms of application, but where I want to go with that. So my mom recommended that I check out marketing because there is psychology in marketing. Yeah, so I was really interested in just, I took my first marketing class, took my first communications class, and both of those are very similar. It's not the same thing, but communication is in marketing and then marketing is also in communication. So I was interested and I went to communication courses. A lot of it was sort of media studies, understanding how, different mediums were used for marketing, understanding how different mediums evolved over time. So I thought all that was very interesting. And it was also big enough and wide enough where I could apply to a lot of different fields. But I thought marketing in particular was what I wanted to do. So I was going to get a concentration in marketing for communication, but I ended up just not getting enough credits for the concentration. But like that was the goal of my communication studies. Then I got a minor in consumer psychology, which was marketing and psychology put together. So that's kind of how I got there. I knew I wanted to apply it because I really liked advertising. I thought it was a really interesting field. And especially as entrepreneurs, understanding how to best serve our customers, what they need, how to understand kind of just like their desires and their positioning and how to position our products And then just maybe what their life cycle, their stage in their life cycle is. So being like, all right, well, if we want to train millennials, right? What are they doing? And like, what are they getting out of school? How much money do they have? Kind of like, what's the disposable income? What do they want to do in the first place? What are their goals for health and wellness? So I think all of that is extremely applicable now because there's a huge trend and a shift towards health and wellness, especially for, like we said, millennials, where they don't mind spending more money on health and fitness. So I think we're very well positioned in that sense, and kind of like the time is right for us to be in the space. But all of that really kind of comes from an understanding of marketing, psychology. And I think that was sort of the base of it. And then from there, kind of just got bigger and bigger. But interestingly enough, we didn't plan to be in business together from the very beginning, but it did sort of shape itself that way. And it all came together very, very nicely. So,
yeah. And then I studied communication as my major and then a minor in international relations.
Mm-hmm.
And so originally I was thinking that I was interested in international relations as my major. But after taking the first class, I was like, you know what? I don't know if I could do this as a major because it was interesting and I really like it, but I don't think I wanted to commit my major to international relations. It wasn't pulling me in that hard.
Mm-hmm.
I knew I didn't want to do any of the sciences, so no biology, no chemistry. I was like, I'm not going to use that. It's just unnecessary amount of difficulty with that for something that I'm really not planning on using.
Mm-hmm.
So I chose communication because of I took the first class, like one of the intro classes. I thought it was very interesting. And I think my main goal with my education was really to learn and understand relationships and how to not only to talk to people and communicate with people, but also like how people interact and how to affect someone else or how they affect you. And so I ended up doing communication with a concentration in global communication. And so I wanted to kind of take it from both an interpersonal perspective. So I took classes about like framing and how do you frame messages and stuff like that. But I also took classes about, I think we took it together. It was a conflict resolution, or like how conflict happens and how people solve it. And then my international relations classes were very much focused on international political economy. So how nations work together and how the economies affect each other, but also how nations themselves interact in the sense that there's no real international law that governs every single body of people, of countries and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I thought international relations was a great kind of example that both people and like countries actually kind of interact in the same ways, very similarly. And then I ended up doing a minor in Latin American Latino studies, mainly because I took enough classes to get the minor, but not because that was my goal. But I studied Portuguese because I wanted to go to Brazil. And so took classes in Portuguese, studied abroad in Brazil. So I think kind of at the end of my college experience, I had a very well-rounded view of a lot of different things and relationships and how people interact. And I ended up taking one class for negotiations that I think is one of the most important classes I've ever taken, because now I do negotiations pretty much every single day, and everybody negotiates whether they know it or not. But now, especially for Trio Fitness, I'm the one that pretty much is like the lead on all emails going in and out. Whenever we're asking for something, whenever we're creating deals, writing proposals, I'm using the stuff I learned from negotiations actively in the business. And it's not something that I thought was really going to be like oh yeah, I'm taking this class because I know I'm going to be doing entrepreneurship. But at the end of my college experience, I feel like almost every single thing I did, whether it was a specific activity or whether it was soft skills that were learned during my time, I think are very much used now in what we do. And even though our business is fitness, business is business. A lot of businesses have the same needs in terms of negotiations and like marketing and like making sure that you're designing things that are persuasive to people. So that's kind of how my stuff led into Trio Fitness. But again, at the beginning of college, none of us knew that we were going to be entrepreneurs, but we ended up studying things that really came together really well.
Okay.
Yeah, I studied business with a concentration in real estate. So I was in the business school undergrad at Penn. Honestly, I just studied it because I like business. Like I have an interest in business. There wasn't like any particular reason. I actually started in the College of Arts and Sciences, which is the school that they were technically in. But I was trying to study economics, trying to figure out if I could just kind of do business while just studying economics. But it was too much theory for me. Like it wasn't practical enough. I wasn't learning the statistical stuff I thought I was gonna learn, the accounting, the business management stuff. I didn't learn any of that stuff, or like the investment side of it. So I was just like, I don't want to do this. So I decided to transfer to the business program, which in itself was like a terribly difficult process, but I got it done. And then I ended up going to I was in class with people who all wanted to go into like finance and consulting for the most part. That's why they were taking business classes, but I wanted to take business classes because I had an interest in like management and like doing my own thing anyway. And I just wanted to like be able to start a business, run a business, successfully like operate one or whatever. And so I just decided to study business. And then I have an interest in real estate, particularly commercial real estate. So being able to study that undergrad put me in a position to intern at a couple of different real estate firms, like a really big one in New York, and then a smaller one in Maryland. So that's been awesome, like being able to do that. I always want to like go back to that area, like that field. Like I'm obviously not there right now, but I want to kind of have a hand in commercial investment and stuff like that. But yeah, that's really it. Like I didn't really have too much of a reason to do it, other than I just had interest in business, and I didn't want to study what I was studying. So I just said, I don't want it. I want this. And I studied business with concentration in real estate.
So I love that I literally have a relationship to all of you guys. I go because undergrad communications and journalism, sociology as a major. So for me, like I looked at psychology. But I mean, yes, I could look in the mirror and look at myself, but I love people. I love watching people. I love how they interact with one another. The whole entire concept of we'll call it the real estate. I think that everyone should have real estate in their mind. Because the American dream to buy a house, and people just don't understand the whole entire essence of that. And so the business, I mean, did my MBA, the real estate, I wanted to get into it. So I got into fundrise.com. So I don't know if you know about Fundrise. The second it came in, I went right in because I'm like, I feel that I can learn about it and be able to like make money. I mean, you're making money, you're learning, they're teaching in a way where anyone could be in it versus being like saying that, oh no, I'm sorry, you don't have enough money, so you're not allowed to be in this world. So I love that they came to be. The business world, I mean, no matter what country I go to, the first person I look for is the kid that's carrying the coconuts, or the kid that's carrying the bananas, or the kid, I go, and you see how they elevate from going from the walking it, going to the bicycle, the motorcycle, the car, the shop. I mean, you hear these stories when you go to other countries. And I love that someone has a hustle to know that I'm not going to go to college. I go, but I know I have something in me to spin and grow. Negotiation, everyone needs it. You're like negotiation, finance classes, politics, and being able to talk about anyone's religion. I swear to God, everyone should take these classes or know about it, because we would live in a better world if that was the case. You say Brazil, I'm going to challenge you guys by going to Azores, because you're going to use your Portuguese. You're going to go to the Azores. It literally, I pick random places to go on vacation, and I literally said, I go, oh, Azores, it's inexpensive, direct flight from Boston. Everyone's like, do you know where you're going? I go, I don't know. I'm just going to the Azores. I thought it was cool to say the Azores. It's in the middle of the ocean. It is like in the middle of the ocean. Wow. But when you go there, you will die. The food is amazing. The people are amazing. And the love of they love that people just come and visit them because they're just so far in the ocean, but it is a direct flight. So I'm just that was me just spitting things out to you. All right. You decide to start a business. Whose idea was it to start the business? Why now? And I'm challenging you with the millennials, because millennials will age out. So why the millennials? Although you are one, but why that target audience, and why the business now?
Yeah. So the idea to have a business really started in probably elementary school. From mostly our dad, but also our mom. So our dad would always say, you guys should be able to do something where you don't have to ask somebody else for a job. It's not that you can't work for someone else, but it's that, let's say, in case of a pandemic, all right, you don't have a job anymore, right? Can you still make money on your own? And you can't ask somebody else for employment because they're also struggling, right? So how are you gonna like provide for yourself? You have a family, provide for your family, whatever it is. How are you gonna make things happen? So from a young age, we were thinking, what do we want to do that's going to be our support system that we can do whenever we want to, whenever we need to. We like it, it's fun. And they also wanted us to have something we could do together. So that was kind of what our dad was saying. He actually works for somebody. He works for the National Education Association. our mom is a realtor. And it's funny because I never like, when I was younger, I never really conceptualized her as an entrepreneur. I only really realized that she was one later. But she was doing it before, like while our dad was talking about it, that's what she was doing, right? Which I never understood until later.
We don't really pay attention to what our parents do when they're doing it, by the way.
Yeah, so I mean, I think they were both giving us like those sort of equal messages of like, you guys want to make sure you have your own thing if you need it, right? You can work for someone else if you want to, but should you need it, you have your own thing. So all throughout sort of elementary school and high school, we were kind of considering what do we want to do. And then in high school, we really found the gym and found working out and sort of like health and wellness and fitness. And we were like, we like to do this on our own without getting paid, right? It's fun for us. We like to do it together. And then the more we did it, the more people thought we were good at it. And they asked us questions and asked us for advice and things like that about doing it. And I think it really kind of started there with the mindset of, all right, fitness could be a thing. And in our senior year of high school, we actually started to do, make content around fitness. People started to ask us about fitness programs. And we were like, yeah, if you want to work out, just come work out with us, right? But it was very sort of casual. It was fun. It was very carefree, but it was something we did for free because we liked to do it. And we realized that, you know, sort of intersection of if you did it for free and you love to do it, like if you love it so much, you'll do it for free. How can you get paid for it now, right? So like, how do you kind of like put those things together? And we really knew that we wanted to be able to set our own schedules, make as much money as we wanted to make, and do things our way, right? And then work out. And it all kind of came together in fitness, wellness, and personal training. So I think that's kind of where the idea of the business started. And I think was that the question, or I can't remember.
Why the millennials?
Why the millennials? So part of it, I'm gonna have to answer this as well. But part of it is that we understand ourselves the most, of course, right? Because we are in our certain life stage, our life cycle. And it's funny because initially we wanted to train college students, right? And it was, you know, it's still like obviously technically millennials, right? But like we wanted to train college students while we were in college because that's who we were around. And I think it was a great idea to get us started. But then after we graduated, we were like, all right, again, like you said, age out, right? We aged out of it. And we said, okay, so we're definitely not going to go back to Penn to train these students, right? We're out of Penn now. Like we can still sort of do stuff with Penn, but we also understand that disposable income is a thing. And as students, we didn't have a disposable income. We were making an extra 20, 30, maybe $40 a week from doing behavioral labs and like doing sort of just, you know, different studies and surveys, right? That's how we got our extra money for the weekends. Like $20, $40 a week from doing surveys, right? So I was like, all right, probably.
Wait a second. I feel this is just like textbook where the triplets do surveys to make money. Like, really? So they like, what?
At Penn, you know, because like they'll do studies.
Yeah.
It'll be like, hey, you don't know. Actually, you never know what the study's about. But
doesn't matter. I'm making money.
And they're giving out, you know, $20 minimum, and then sometimes in the studies it'll be like there'll be a question, and then it gives you the opportunity to get more money in the studies. Like and every time it'd be like you sign up for the text messages or whatever, and you can do the studies. And I mean, because Penn is like a research school, and honestly, when I think it might have been you. He might have been the first one that was doing it.
I was on it.
And he was like, "Yeah, like you can make $20." And I was like, "Well, damn, that's more than you make per hour from one of these." I had a work study job at the gym because and again, this is where I was like, I was doing laundry. Sometimes I had to like oil and clean the machine. Like that was my very first gym job. Was what's called a recreation assistant. So basically, you're walking around, making sure people put their bags in lockers, and then cleaning machines when you have to, and doing laundry and stuff. But then Khalil was like, yeah, like I don't need to get a job. I just do the behavior lab and I get turned off. I'm like, okay, what kind of back point, right? I'm like, you realize that we wasn't making money like that, and you know, a lot of other people wasn't making money like that either, right? So I guess you can kind of continue with the millennial stuff. Yeah, I mean, basically, I mentioned millennials before because that's like the current age range, from like 23 maybe until like 30, you know, mid 30s, early 40s or whatever. So the reason I said that is just because that's where the focus is now to kind of build the brand, and it's also where our energy is best received for the next 10 years or so. So like, yeah, it doesn't really, that's not a demographic that we're going to stick with for the longevity of this business or whatever. But as I've kind of grown as an entrepreneur and understood kind of how people build businesses, there's a lot of transformation that takes place within building a business. So like, yeah, you might not start in a specific demographic, but as your brand changes, as you change, you may start to move towards a different demographic. Now, what I will say is that our next kind of like phase of business, I think, is coming from, it's not going to be so focused on who we are as opposed to a platform or a service that we can build out that is then going to still focus on people who are between the ages of like, probably it's probably a cheaper offering, but that a lot of people can use, right? So we're talking like, you know, early adults, like, you know, 22 to like probably 45 or so, people that can really receive our energy and our you know, style really well. And now that doesn't mean people can't receive it well, but just that's how we've kind of found that we're best received in that age range.
And it's our current demographic that we train for the most part.
Exactly. And it's the current demographic that we currently train for the most part. But that offering is going to be something where just because somebody phases out of that age doesn't mean someone else is obviously, they're going to be phasing in. So the second you go from 21 to 22, someone's going from like 49 to 50, but you know, you're still going to be focused on that age range that you've already targeted. Yeah, you're going to have to transform mode a little bit, but that's where it's going to come down to, we don't really matter as much as opposed to the service that we can offer, that we can build out for those people who we do target. So definitely, like, that's a great question, because that's something that, you know, we can't always be 25, but we can still build something that can give good service to those people who are always going to be in that age range.
The January, February 2020, people all have their marketing plan ready to go. They're excited. It's going to be a great year. We are in a new decade. Woohoo! And all of a sudden, people started hearing little noises like I go, oh, something's happening in Europe. Something's happening in China. Something's happening. And then little by little, we start shutting down. So I'm in Mexico on stage doing a presentation, and someone gets up during Q&A. They're like, can you tell me what's happening in the United States about the toilet paper? And I'm like, what? What do you mean? Like, I had no idea what they were talking about. I get to my hotel room. My mother calls me from Florida in Mexico, and she's like freaking out because she can't find toilet paper. I'm like, I don't know what you guys are talking about. And then the third phone call was my cousin saying, I think you need to stay in Mexico because it's a shit show right now in America. So, and I'm like, I need to get home. I need to get home. And the second I got home, 48 hours later, we closed everything. Everything was closed. What was it like for you guys? Because you clearly have a team. I mean, you're together, but you're in DC and you're watching a very interesting, I'm just going to keep like an interesting administration. You're seeing the world shut down, and you are now business owners. So what was it like when you started hearing the buzz, and then what happened between the buzz since shut down to now?
Yeah, so we were in Philly at the time. We've been in Philly since 2014 technically. 2014 for college, but 2018 like officially living here. So we were here when the pandemic started, and it was like, I mean, 2020 we started off hot. Like, we were doing really good. Like we were we was on the news everywhere. The beginning of 2020 was really when things started to pick up for us. Like literally January. We were featured in, it was like the first week of January. Yeah, we were featured in Philly Mag, which is basically like a big local magazine. And like if you get in Philly Mag, people read it. So we were featured for Trio Fitness in Philly Mag, and basically the whole idea was like, they're these triplets, they're in the top boutique studios in the city, and they're crushing it. You got to take their classes. And from there, we got on to Fox in Philly, and then we got to Good Morning America, ABC. So just different things like that. Like that really helped us pick up some momentum. And then everything shut down, and we were supposed to actually go to Good Morning America. Me and Michael Strahan dap him up a little bit. Yeah, we were supposed to go in person to Good Morning America, but then they had to delay it, and then after it got delayed, we didn't do it in person anymore because we were pandemic, right? But we still ended up doing some social media stuff with them, which was cool. But basically, beginning of 2020, it was popping. Like we were all in these great studios. Money was good. Money was coming in, having a great time.
Wait. Pause for a second. Quick second. Are you guys inside of, do you have a brick and mortar, or do you go to different studios? How does it work for you guys before you continue?
Yeah, so we currently, all three of us work at different studios. So Khalil works at Rumble, which is a boxing studio. I work at Barry's, which is weights and cardio. Malik works at Unite, which is also weights, cardio, and also spin. So it's treads, spin, and weights at Unite. But we also have our own physical studio that's mainly for content creation and filming, but also sometimes we train clients there as well.
Okay.
We have a physical space, but that physical space is more or less mostly a workspace, but also we shoot content there a lot. And it's just like our studio space, right?
Okay.
So we do, our daily schedules are comprised of teaching classes at those individual studios. And then we also do, we have Trio Fitness time in the middle of the day.
Good example is like right now.
Right now, yeah.
Gotcha.
Basically, we started out 2020 great. And then we shut down. Everyone thought it was gonna be for 2 weeks. We're like, oh yeah, 2 weeks, that's cool, whatever. We were still getting paid because our businesses kept paying us for those first couple weeks, whatever, which was great. So we were like, yeah, it's fine, no big deal. Like, yeah, they've been talking about this coronavirus, but like, we'll be cool. Like, it's not that serious. But the day we shut down, we immediately were like, okay, well, if we're gonna be here for 2 weeks, let's hop on to social media and make sure we're really pushing on social media, because we were definitely lagging a little bit on our Instagram. And just other platforms, we just weren't posting that much, which was fine. It wasn't like anything was going wrong with it. But as soon as stuff shut down, we were like, okay, people are going to go to social media now. So let's make sure we have content for them, workout content they can do at home, no equipment, or with chairs, or with like, backpacks, whatever it is. Make sure we're providing something for the people that follow us. And the main thing we did though was hop on TikTok, and TikTok went crazy. Like we were not, we had done no TikToks before, but it's primarily, a dancing app, and we dance, and we were like, you know what, we've never actually posted our dancing on social media like that. So let's start filming videos, and our TikTok audience really took off. Like we started getting a lot of followers on TikTok, and then people started wanting us to do influencer stuff on TikTok. And we were like, oh, okay, this is like, people actually do this. And from TikTok, our Instagram following, because people love to go from TikTok to Instagram. So Instagram following starts going up, and we're just so active on both platforms now. And our TikTok following quickly hit 250,000 followers on TikTok. And then our Instagram following, we were at 5,000 before the pandemic. And now we're up to 26,000. And I mean, that's all within the span of like just over a year. So once we doubled down on social media, that's kind of how we pivoted. But those first, after the 2 weeks, and it started getting longer and longer, we were like, okay, like we're in a pandemic, and this is real.
Yeah, I think put it all together there. It's kind of like, see how we responded in terms of the business. Initially, we were doing our own thing, and it was mostly about us training at our individual studios. And Trio was more like it was secondary. It was still a main project, and that's still the main goal. But it was secondary to us sort of like getting our stuff down at our individual studios. Then when the pandemic hit, all the studios closed, and it became our main thing. It had to be, right? So that's what we started to make it the most money. So then got on TikTok, like you said, really blew up on social media, and then started making more money from Trio, from different influencer jobs, from doing other boot camps, from doing online stuff. We had one of our biggest clients, Capital One, do a boot camp for them, and it was a new service we could provide as a Zoom boot camp, right? It was something we didn't do before. Zoom personal training, we didn't do before. And I think that really kind of grew our business a whole bunch, because then we were getting consistent requests and consistent contracts for these larger businesses and companies to do online training now. So that became our main thing. Then studios got reintroduced maybe, a month ago, 2 months ago, February or so, reintroduced into our schedules again, where now we said, no, that's not the main thing anymore, right? Trio is the main thing. And so now we built our schedules around doing Trio every single day. And now the studios are sort of like the secondaries. But it's great now, because now we're getting supplemental income from the studios, and then building Trio even bigger and better every single day. And now making way more money from Trio than we were before. So I think it was a huge, although, yeah, the pandemic is trash, but it was great to come back and really sort of make that pivot, like you said, because it really focused us on Trio versus the other studios.
The industry is, there's clearly a massive shakeup in the industry. The pandemic basically closed down. Not even just like, I have a Kaiser bike, so I run marathons, and I'm very lucky that I live in a quintessential New England town where it's 20,000 people. So I mean, I got to go out. I got to go running with no problem whatsoever. I have my Kaiser bike, and everyone's like, I go, you're not gonna get Peloton. I'm like, I'm not into fads. It's not my. I'm not that type of person. But I know the Kaiser was legit, and everyone's like, you know how much that costs? I'm like, I go, I know how much it costs, but I also am smart. I know that gyms are closing, and I went right to a gym and I'm like, I'll take that off your hands. And not only will I take that off your hands, I'm going to go to 15 of my friends that want non-Pelotons, and I'm going to take all this stuff off your hands. And they're like, open door, because they couldn't keep up their leases. They couldn't keep up the equipment, and they just had open December, January, February, whatever. You know, in January, that's when everyone runs to the gym. So that's the perfect time to get someone to get a subscription, know that they'll never show up again. And it's great. Because of this, everyone became very creative online. They, just like you, realized, oh, wow, there's definitely a way to capitalize what I do and what I love. But now what happened to the industry? So in your opinions, what do you think will happen to the industry? Because everyone's thinking, once we're open, the world's open, we're going to be fine. Not realizing America is opening. The world is not open, because I have clients and I have friends that they're still locked down. They're still wearing masks. So in your opinions, where do you see the industry going to now in regards of getting us back into brick and mortars? Are gyms going to even survive? Is this an online platform where it makes sense? People do want to be together, or do they not want to be together? What are your thoughts?
So I think that the industry is forever changed, period. There is no like going back to pre-pandemic, because there's always going to be people who don't feel comfortable going back to public spaces for at least like the next 10 years. And that's like, you know, assuming like everything gets figured out, the vaccine or whatever works, you have the Delta variant, all these different things that are still happening as effects from the very beginning, to where everybody thought it was going to be 2 weeks. Then we said, cool, it's going to be a year. Now we're over a year in, but there's a variant, there's multiple variants of the virus. So like nothing's going to be the same for a long time. So for gyms to believe that they're just going to open back up is, I think it's like naive, because you need to be able to pivot or put some type of stock into an online presence if you want to survive without needing people in person. So the thing that I'm starting to understand is that there are going to be certain services that you cannot replicate in the house, and there are certain things that you can replicate in the house. So for example, if you already like online classes from before, then you know you were fine during the pandemic, you're fine taking an online class. If you like in-person energy, if you like hearing somebody over the mic, hearing an instructor, then you're gonna go back to class. So like all of those people are like the assets for gyms, people who need to work out in person. But there's also gonna be people that now have created home gyms, to where if you're going to weightlift, you don't have to weightlift in a gym, you can weightlift at home. So then our gyms pivoting and saying, cool, let's have a service offering where we can tell people what to do at home. Or they're saying people will come back, like it's fine, like we have a gym, we have all this equipment here, not understanding that people can get equipment in their home. The same way you got a Kaiser bike at home, same way people can get a squat rack in their garage if they have the means. Everyone's not gonna have those means, that's totally fine. But I think the industry is totally different. The only way that you can keep people in person is if you provide an experience that can only be gotten in person. If you can do that, then you're set. But otherwise, like you have to be able to understand that people might not come back because they can do everything else from the home. So where we come in is we're like, cool, we already didn't have a physical gym anyway. So we were already looking towards online. And so over the last year, we've been really beefing up our online presence. We've been understanding how to sell different things online, sell different services online, to where we're totally committed to the online, because that's going to be over the next 10 years. It's going to stay there. It's going to be a staple. And then if we can start to do something in person later, I think that's the new business model, is like you start online, and then when you have enough demand for in person, you can open up in person and not have to worry about paying your lease, because you can fill space. You won't have to worry about trying to get new people in the door. You've got people who are already expecting you to get into the door or expecting you to open up and then waiting to come in. Anyway, that's why I think the industry is going. Like people just need to be able to provide really solid in-person experience. If they need in-person people, if they have brick and mortar. If they don't, you better get really good on camera. It's like there's no other way to get it done, you know?
You guys started a business together. You're lucky because you have each other. There are a lot of people that during the pandemic, they either they got laid off, they got furloughed, they just got out of school, and they're like, oh my God, I had this job offer, and then they got pulled back. Or the individual that is still at work to this day, hate it, that micromanager is not on my back anymore. And now they're telling me I have to get back to work. I have to go physically back into the work. But throughout this entire time, I've been getting paid by somebody else, and I've been creating, and I want to do something. What would you say to the individual that is looking, they're listening to you and they're looking to start something? They don't even know where to start. What are the highs of starting your own business? What is the lows of starting your business? And what is the best advice that you received in regard to starting your business? High, low, and best advice that you received starting your own business.
So I think the high for starting your own business is just actually having something that you want to do, that you really like hopefully if you start a business, well, I guess the advice for one is to start a business for something that you actually enjoy doing without necessarily having to get paid for it right off the bat. Because if you don't enjoy what you do, it's going to be really, really hard to keep going. Now, you can have a business that you don't necessarily enjoy, but you got to figure out some other way to motivate yourself, whether it's the money or whatever it is. But if you don't have money coming in the beginning, you have to really like what you do, because we weren't making money on fitness at the beginning at all. All of our events were free. We were training clients for free. We were just posting content, just trying to build up that passion. But we weren't making any money. So if you're not making money at the beginning, you have to really, really enjoy it. But the high is that you actually do like it. So once you start being successful, you're like, damn, like I built this and I really like it and I enjoy doing it. A low, especially if you come into this already having a stable job, and I don't recommend people do this, but if you do it like this, if you come into it, you know what? I had this job for 3-4 years. I have the money, whatever. I'm gonna just quit my job and go into entrepreneurship. That's like a really hard reality check, because then you're like, no, first of all, no one's making your schedule for you. You have to do everything yourself. And now you got to figure out how I'm gonna build this business up. And if you're alone, if you don't have a team, it's very challenging to figure out exactly where to start and what to do. And that realization that entrepreneurship is really, really hard is definitely a low point. And that comes up with us like on not a regular basis, but like
No, it's regular.
like every month, every couple months, you're like, damn, like I'm still doing this. Like, cannot believe, like it's hard, right? It's hard. But the piece of advice, if you're just coming in and you already have been working a job, or you're out of college, you already have a job and stuff lined up, you slowly start to incorporate whatever the new thing is into your schedule, but schedule it in there. So if you already have your 9 to 5 and you have a little bit extra time in the day, you start to build it in there and really make sure you actually schedule it in there so you do it on a regular basis. And then start to build up like a body of work. So whatever it is, whatever you're creating, make sure there's proof that you're actually doing it. Because one, you can look back on it and see the progress, but two, other people can see what you've been doing and they're like, oh, this person's been doing this for a while. But for us, we hopped in straight into entrepreneurship. We did have some internships, but we didn't have any guaranteed jobs. So I think that there's a lack of, I actually don't know what it's like to have, besides now I work at Barry's and everything in a studio, safe job and stuff. But it closed. So I guess it wasn't that safe, right? We closed for a pandemic. But I never had the job security of like, hey, every year I'm making 80K guaranteed, no matter, I have time off. This is my salary though. So yeah, I'm gonna work this much, but I know regardless, no matter how hard I work, I'm gonna make 80K. Like that's guaranteed because that's my salary, right? I've never had that safety net ever. So I'm used to not having it. So I'm like, oh, okay, a little bit of pressure. That's where I thrive, right? So I'm used to being under pressure and being able to set my own, schedule and do my own work. So if you're coming into it, you gotta make sure that you do it gradually. If it's not something you started off the rip, which most people won't. And most people, I don't even know if I'd recommend that, because there is a learning curve. And if you don't have any money to survive that learning curve, you might end up quitting or burning out too early.
I would say for a high, you get to own it. For a low, you have to own it. You really get to take all the wins. Like, we've been on TV, we've been on GMA, we've been on all these different things. People are like, yo, you guys are so cool. I'm like, I appreciate it. Thank you. And then when you're not making money, like I remember when I stopped, so I was doing Rumble on Zoom, right? So I was able to make some money like easily from the house. I would come downstairs, teach the class, and I was done. And it was good money for the hour, right? It was really 45 minutes. It was super simple. But then after that stopped, I wasn't really making any money. And so I was like, yo, I got to own this. And I need to sell my services like now, right? I wasn't making the money. So I had to, make some ads on Instagram. I had to, do some follow-ups on Instagram. It's never fun when someone doesn't respond to your email, right? Like, but it's, or like respond to your call, right? But it's just, like that's really the simple stuff. And it's really not that bad because you got to expect it to happen. So whenever I send out like a message, like, yeah, I'm doing boxing training, I always expect it to be kind of low for the like at least people to go through. People will respond, then they won't respond again, right? So it's kind of, it'll drop off, incrementally. But yeah, I would say the high, you get to own it. B, you have to, the low, you have to own it. Then the biggest piece of advice for me, whenever I get around people that also do entrepreneurship or also working on things, I have a huge energy boost. So it's like, I really feel like I can work again. So I think a big piece would be to make sure you have a circle. If it's just you, it's gonna be really hard. And even if it's like you're motivated by getting a new car or getting a new house or like getting something else where you have a very extrinsic and tangible motivation, I think really for me, the energy of other entrepreneurs or other people that are really hustling helps me, right? So it's like, I mean, you said it, for example, you've interviewed 178 people, 178 or 128?
178.
178 in like the past year. That's a lot of hustle, and that makes you feel good. I'm like, okay, she really doing her thing. She getting after it. Now I can definitely interview at least a couple people over the next few months. If I was going to do that, right? You're doing XYZ amount per day. So I just think, things like that, the energy is very legitimate and that transfer is very serious. And it helps when you have people around you to do the same sort of hustle like that. So high, you get to own it. B, low, I'm saying B. Low, you got to own it. Best piece of advice, get people around you that have the same energy. It really helps you push.
Yeah, so mine would be, your high is that you have no ceiling. There's no limit to like how much you can make, how much you can do. Like there's no ceiling. So I always tell people like, part of the reason I don't like having an office job or a salary job is that even if I work 80 hours a week, I might get a bonus or whatever, but it doesn't mean I'm going to make X amount proportionate to how much I work. So I have no ceiling on myself. So once I start making 500,000 a year, like I'm making 500,000, I can go up to $1 million a year, but nobody's going to cap the amount of money that I'm getting, regardless of what I'm doing. Low is the fact that there's no floor. So there is no safety. I'm not going to, even if I take time off, I got sick days or whatever, basically you eat what you kill. Like there's no way, like you can't eat if you don't work.
He's a vegetarian.
You can't eat if you're an entrepreneur if you're not working.
I'm saying eat what you big. He's looking for nuts, yo. He's looking for berries. He's not looking for animals.
You can't. Like, you just, if you got an $80,000 a year job, you make it $80,000 with 2 weeks off. Like you can have a sick day and come back in and still get paid every other week. So that's definitely the low. Is like there's no floor. The high is there's no ceiling. So you got that whole width to play with. And then advice would just be to produce. Like you just got to put something out there. Like you got to have something to show that you're valuable, that someone should take a chance on you. People that just talk about the skills that they have and services they offer, that's all good and fine or whatever. But if you haven't like put out a piece of content where people can see like, oh, like for us, like people can tell we teach good class because of the stuff that we put up on Instagram or like the little snippets we put up from our classes, whatever. Like you got to produce something so that people can see your value instead of thinking that they're taking a risk on you and just like going to see whatever you got going on. Have testimonials or whatever, produce something to where people can say, cool, I've seen some type of work from them. I can use this as an opportunity to reach out to them, as opposed, or I can actually send it to someone else who may then give them a chance. But if you haven't produced anything, then no one can even really, they can't look at you at all because they have no idea if you've done anything. So advice would be to produce. High is there's no ceiling, low is there's no floor.
The pandemic literally mentally, because people are talking so much about the physical, getting out there and doing as much as they possibly can to sit there and like keep the bread weight off. Cause everyone tried to make bread and they all gained weight. The first 3 or 4 months, everyone's like, I go, oh, I'm doing the dishes and there's a little roll. What's that thing on top of the sink? Oh, that's my belly. Oh, I'm sleeping in the bed, the sheets. Oh no, that's back fat. Oh, that's not right. So everyone's thinking about their physical. Mentally, people are now being aware of that a lot more. How did you guys take care of yourselves? Because you are talking about the highs and the lows. You're taking care of so many people. You started the year with a high. How did you guys take care of yourself? And you guys weren't with your folks. Not that you would be with your folks anyway, but you're watching the pandemic. You have older parents. How did you even find that space where like, we're going to be okay?
Yeah.
You got it.
I was gonna say, for me, I think it's both mental and physical. So I did a lot of boxing. I would do a lot of shadow boxing. For me, it's meditative, and I can kind of really get into a nice flow state. And it's just nice to hit something sometimes if I got a bag in front of me. But yeah, I think a lot of it, my mental stems a lot from my physical. And then it goes the other way as well. But if I work out, I'm gonna have a good mental day, in my opinion, because it happens every time. If I get up early and I meditate, or I get up early and I just kind of like do my own thing, and I mentally get ready, I'm gonna have a good physical day, right? So it kind of goes back and forth. If I just kind of do one, the other kind of follows. So I think that was huge. Doing boxing, getting up early was big for me. It's really that simple. Just boxing, getting up early was very, very simple to kind of keep my head on straight and kind of just keep going.
Yeah, and I think living together actually really helped with our mental. At the beginning, it was like so pre-pandemic. It was nice because our schedules are pretty different when it comes to teaching classes. So we're in and out at different times. Sometimes you're up early, sometimes you're out later. But at the end of the day, everyone usually comes back together, and that's where we probably spend the most time together. Yeah. But then pandemic hits, and we're like literally always together in the house. And it was like at the beginning, it was like, oh, guys, it's a little bit too much. Like we not used to spending this much time anymore together.
Because the world is your buffer.
Yeah. And now once we started being inside all the time, it was like, okay, my me time is literally when I'm in my room. I can't be in the living room because everyone else is here, so I'm not gonna go in my room, whatever. But for me, I definitely I got really into meditation, and I started using the Calm app. And I think the Calm app is really, really good. And what was great was my studio gave everyone, all the instructors, I think all the employees actually, a free complimentary year. And so I started using that. And basically it helped me keep track and actually helped me stay accountable to meditating every single day. But then there was this really cool exercise. They have like different themes, for the meditations and stuff. And one of them was gratitude. So I started doing these gratitude exercises, and it was like 10 days of gratitude was like the actual program. But afterwards, I started doing a lot of gratitude lists and just like making sure that I was like actually recognizing what I was grateful for, or just like creating some gratitude at the beginning of my day, every single day. And it was like regular stuff like, oh, I'm grateful that I have like this food, or I'm grateful that it's a nice day, or the sun is out. Like it could be random stuff, or like I'm literally sitting on the couch, grateful for that. Like whatever it is, just like regular stuff, just to get your mindset into the idea of being like, okay, gratitude, great attitude, like that's what you want to have. And I think that really helped, like just like refocusing, because you're in a pandemic, like there's not a whole lot, for a lot of people, your perspective is pandemic, people are sick, people are dying, we're all shut inside, not a whole lot to be grateful for. But I kind of like using that perspective and just the exercises that really helped me kind of refocus and be like, nah, like there's opportunity in everything. I can get my mental right and make sure I'm in a good place. So I think that's one of the things I did that was important, was just gratitude and meditating.
As Khalil said, the physical has been important for me. So like just exercising on a regular basis, moving in some capacity is very important for me. If I don't move, then I kind of feel like I have too much energy. I kind of feel like I'm just like trapped in my body a little bit to where I haven't like released enough. So that's been important. And then before the pandemic even hit, like it was kind of crazy how I started right before I even found out coronavirus was going to be something serious. But I think it was like March 1st or something when I started journaling. So I just started to journal like every day. And then it kind of became like an interesting way to log the pandemic. Because I started like in the beginning of March, and then by like March 16th or something, I think that's when things shut down. So I'm like, all right, well, I'll just keep journaling. Like, I guess I'll just make it a log about how it is like living in a pandemic or whatever. So I was pretty consistent with that, like every day writing something. I stopped doing it every day just because there were just days I didn't have anything I really wanted to like express. But it's been like a consistent practice now, like maybe at least once a week I'll write something just to like kind of get some stuff out. But even that's been helpful, just because I don't think there's a lot of people that really understand the position that entrepreneurs, or like us specifically, are in. But then even us specifically, the three of us, we have different things going on, like at our jobs. Like, it could have even been just the stresses of having pandemic in conjunction with the like social awakening that's been happening in the country, and having to work in a predominantly white industry like high-end boutique fitness, but then having to like talk to the people in the gym, like, yeah, guys, like you guys are part of the issues that people are talking about, like the way that we teach class here, like the way that you guys don't speak on this issue, but you speak on this one, like different things like that, to where that was a time where I was just kind of upset going to work. I didn't even want to go there, but I started to do my job. I started to make some money. So like, different things like that, I've just been able to write down and kind of get it out. So for me, just working out, exercising, and then also just writing has been good to just keep the mind state ready, the mental state healthy, because we also have to give so much energy when we teach class that, we don't have it ourselves. We can't really give it out and give a good service. And that's also like part of what we like to do though. So like, I want to be good at that. So I got to make sure I'm taking care of myself too.
I can't wait till you turn the journals into a book.
Yeah, maybe they'll make it out somehow, the ruminations and all that.
Well, no, honestly, you guys have been so good in regards of creating content without even realizing. The journals, you just said it, documenting a year in a world, in a life of an entrepreneur, in a life with my two brothers. That, oh yeah, by the way, we're triplets. There's so much there where, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm a marketing person. I'm not gonna lie, that's a winner right there, because this is different. It's different. So keep that in mind. I said it. You don't have to give me credit, but you should do it. And also with the concept of converting your company into social media. I have one of my best friends. He's one of the top 10 wedding planners in Manhattan. Guess what? No weddings. He's a single dad in Manhattan. He has 3 kids under the age of 8 years old. He's like, I need to feed my children. How am I going to do this? I have no weddings. And so he just because he has a great sense of humor, he started doing TikTok, and he literally was just like making fun of the world and making fun of his children and just making fun of things. And he became same thing, just like you guys started being known. He is fully booked for weddings 2023, fully booked. He usually does a wedding every other weekend, so that way he's like fully booked. He's like, I have to double down. I have college, I have weddings, I have things to pay for. And he's like, he goes, never in a million years. He goes, TikTok, it's for kids. I'm not getting into that. And it couldn't even believe it. And so I love how you guys use that. Again, all this content you guys are creating. And I'm not gonna lie, Calm in I think it was Midway, they said it was $175 for a lifetime. I don't know how you didn't see that, but I got it for lifetime. Like, how did you miss that?
Oh, for Calm. Oh, I don't know.
For Calm, yeah. They put it out there where it's like
I don't pay for it though.
Oh, well, all right. Well, I don't have to pay for it. I pay for it, but it's lifetime. So it was huge, because they were thinking we can't shut down neither. So it was good. All right. I have 2 last questions for you guys. Everyone is trying to get back into shape. They're trying to get back into shape. And I always tell people, it doesn't matter. I run marathons. I've had big people pass me. I've had old people pass me. I've had pregnant people pass me. I'm like, damn it, all you people passing me. I'm a slow runner. I was a sprinter in college and high school. I turned into a marathoner. I'm trying to do the elites only. So I've done Boston twice. I did Berlin. I got into Chicago. I'll do Chicago next year. And I want to do London. I want to do London in April and Chicago in October. So I'm like, and then then I have Tokyo and New York, and then I'll do Greece for good form. I'm one of those people where I like tasks. There are a lot of people that they discovered the outdoors. They discovered home gyms. They're trying really hard not to leave them behind. When you meet a person that is like, I just need to be fit. I don't want to change my weight or whatever. I'm a big girl. I'm a big boy. This is the body that God gave me. How do I stay fit? How do I not get diabetes? How do I not get to the point where I walk out the door and I break a hip by just tripping? How do you get someone to love exercising? Because there are people that they exercise because the doctor made them, and they're like, I don't enjoy it. I want to get into exercising because I want to enjoy it. How do you pull people into that? What would you say to someone that doesn't find that they can't figure out how to navigate the way into getting into it? They don't know how to use the equipment, but they know that they need it, because we all know mind, body, and soul exercise is a key.
So I'd say you can't really force somebody to do it, to do anything that has to do with their health. They have to kind of come to a decision themselves, and they can be more or less they can be pressured by circumstances around them, i.e., if they have children, they want to make sure they're healthy for the children down the line.
Yeah.
That's like a good reason to get in the gym, because then they have like a positive association with like doing it. Like, oh, it's just so I'm healthy for my kids. You don't want a negative situation kind of pushing you there where it's like, cool, you know, society's fat phobic. That's why I'm in the gym right now. That's why I'm trying to lose this weight, because then it's like a really terrible association in your head, and you really can't develop much of a healthy relationship with exercising, because then it's coming from a place of fear. It's coming from a place of negativity. That's just not really going to work for you. So you want to, if you're starting out, and again, these pressures aren't going to go anywhere, but if that is the case, and like, you know, again, there's a lot of people aren't accepting of all bodies and such. And because of that, you know, it's a negative space for a lot of people. It is a totally toxic industry. And so for us, like, that's even one of the things we focus on in our business is like the energy, the fun, like the motivation part of it is really where we come from. We don't come at it from an angle of you got to burn this weight off, you got to earn your meals, whatever. Like, that's all toxic. So we try and get people, not even try to get them to do it. We just encourage people to say, cool, start with something small. Start with like just going to the gym and find an exercise or like something that you enjoy doing. Like, you shouldn't be doing anything off the jump that isn't fun or like remotely challenging in a positive way for you, because then you're not gonna go back there. But like starting off slow is important. Don't rush into it. That's the main thing. Like, start with something you enjoy. It does not have to be the gym. It can be a Zumba class. You can like dancing. You can like riding your bike. But start off with something that you actually enjoy, that you're interested in, and then work from there. If you find that you really enjoy biking, then maybe you'll be pushed to go to the gym and work out your legs because you want to be better for your bike, right? But like, find like a motivation or a positive association where it's like, that'll get you to make the change you want to, as opposed to starting from a negative place or something along those lines.
Yeah, I would also say, so like you said, you're more so like having fun with it, feeling good with it. The two other ones that I had in mind was, one, either doing it in a group, so you have some kind of accountability. So maybe with your friends, because I think even when I go to class, I work harder, and I like to go back to class to see the people that I was in class with. So it's nice to have a group. The other one, and it's funny because we're personal trainers, but I will get a personal trainer. Because I would go, because me myself, I actually want to get a personal trainer. Like, I'm planning on getting one, or either a trainer or some kind of like coach. Like, not yet, but I want to get one at some point because it's just gonna make me better. But I think the coach needs to be able to make fitness fun for you. Like, that's specifically what we do. And I think that really helps for someone to come back to do it. Because if it's not fun, then yeah, you could just push yourself to do it. But a lot of people won't do it. That's why they come to classes, like, because classes are fun, but you also work out at the same time. So I think either finding someone that you can really appreciate in terms of a group instructor or a personal trainer is really big, because those people, in my experience, have been the most consistent with their fitness.
Yeah, I have to say I agree with you, because I have a running coach, and when I go running myself, my meditative thing is I take pictures. I mean, I will run, take a picture, run, take a picture, run, take a picture. And when she's out there, she's like, no, and she doesn't let me talk. And I'm like, damn it. I'm like, and so it is annoying, but I get further and better with her. And then all of a sudden her pace goes a little bit faster. And I'm like, oh, okay, I don't know what's happening right now, but why are you going faster? Because she wants me to push. She wants to push. I won't push myself. So I 100% agree with that. I adore you guys. I adore you guys. I'm not letting you guys go. Just want you to know. There's three of you, so I have to say I have excuse because we went over, because there's three of you, so there's my excuse. But I have my final question to you. And I ask this of everybody. So no matter how many times you talk to me, you will always have to end with this, because you never know what your day will need. So if you had a personal ask and a professional ask, we are getting 6 answers here today. I'm so excited. A personal ask and professional ask of anyone that's listening to you right now. What would be your personal ask and what would be your professional ask?
I can start. My personal ask would be to invest in yourself. Like, on a very personal level, like, you should invest in yourself. You should invest in your health. You should invest in, maybe it's just even just buying new fitness clothes. I just bought a whole slew of new Lululemon fitness clothes, right? And now I really feel like I'm about to go harder in the gym. You know, like, it's just, you invest in yourself that way. It makes you feel better. Maybe I'd also have been going to acupuncture lately, right? I mean, look, I'm just throwing money at acupuncture, like, you know, but it's making me better, and it's making my body feel better. You know, it's making me better in general. So my personal ask would be to invest in yourself. And then my professional kind of business ask would be to understand the value that you're paying for. Because it's going to be, if you buy the good stuff, it's going to be more expensive, right? I buy Lululemon because I like it and it's good, right? And it's more expensive. We're talking about like a $78 t-shirt, right? Like, obviously, sometimes you can finesse a discount. Depends on the day, right? But I'm throwing money at like these expensive clothes because they're good. I just paid $69 for a 30-minute acupuncture appointment, right? And it's like, yeah, that money could go somewhere else, right? But I mean, I personally would rather invest in acupuncture than buying drinks or sort of going out. And it's not those are bad things, but like I find the utility for myself much higher in those other sort of like health or wellness things for me. So I think definitely the personal ask would be invest in yourself, understand the value of that professionally and business wise. Don't question the price. Like it's expensive because it's good, right? Now obviously sometimes it's not, but it's expensive because it's good. It's more expensive because it's higher quality. And I personally, as someone who charges a premium for my services, is like, look, I respect when someone else charges what they're worth and what the value is, and I'm willing to pay for that because I know it's good. So those are my two asks.
My professional ask is of listeners who have a business or who are doing their own business. When you set your price, when you charge whatever it is, your goal is to over deliver on everything. So I ask that you try and over deliver on every single thing that you do. Because with us, regardless of our prices, I'm gonna try and give you 10 times the value. And there are people I work with where, obviously they're paying for personal training, but for me, I deliver so much more than just personal training. I live a mindset, it's lifestyle, it's accountability. Like there's so much more than just me telling you, lift this weight up and put it down 10 times and go to the next exercise. And once you start to over deliver, like in a sickening amount, you over deliver as much as you can.
It's sick.
Seriously, because that's something you used to say, right?
It's
like you over deliver so much, and I'm thinking of one particular client right now where I actually did not realize the impact I had on this person until they explained it, and I was like, I knew I was really trying my best to give you as much value as I can, but when they really like and testimonials and everything, when they start to like tell you, yeah, you changed this and I do this now, and it's like my whole mental state is different. It's like, yeah, that's why you charge this much money and over deliver to that degree. And not only is it rewarding for you, but it's like, yeah, this could actually cost a lot more than it does, but this is the value I'm providing just, off the rip, right? So that's my professional ask is for those of you that have businesses or that provide some type of service, over deliver again and again and again. And if you do that, you'll never, you won't be looking for clients anymore because the referrals and everything just comes in, right? That's my professional ask. My personal ask is you don't have to find one, but use your creative outlet, whatever it is, actually use it. Because I realized a couple of weeks ago that I hadn't danced in a very long time, like in terms of like actually dancing, because the three of us, we dance a lot. Not only on TikTok, but like we're just dancers in general. And I realized I hadn't done that creative outlet in a very long time, both in a social setting and just in individual, like getting stuff out. And I was like, wow, I really enjoyed that. So my personal ask is just whatever your creative outlet is, use it. Because a lot of time, like especially when stuff starts to open back up, it's easy to lose that perspective on, because we had so much time in the pandemic, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do something creative today, or I'm gonna do whatever. But you kind of lose that when things start to go back to quote unquote normal. So use that creative outlet. That's my personal ask.
Nice.
Professional ask would be either, I don't know how to say this, confidently humble or humbly confident. Either one, just have confidence in yourself, but always be willing to put yourself mentally in second place to stay humble, right? I think that's one of the main things that we consistently do is like, we're always trying to improve our skill set. We can always learn something from other people. And that's how we were able to rise so quickly within the Philly fitness scene, is that we were consistently trying to improve our skills in the classroom, where I was like reading class rosters of people so I could learn people's names. I'm reading class rosters before and after class, and like trying to remember this person was in this spot, this person was in this spot. So now I can call everybody by their first name when they walk in the door, which then helps you do what he said, which is over deliver. But you can't be too good to like read the class list. You can't be too good to prepare before, to think about how your music is going to impact people from the first song you play to the last song you play. That entire craft is only done well if you're humble about your skill set and you continue to try and improve it. So professionally, be humble, stay confident, or be confident, stay humble, whatever. And then personally, I'd say seek clarity in, I guess, the people that you interact with and like how you interact with them. Over the last year, I've been able to really understand like who kind of around me is like what their purpose is, and not in like a good way or a bad way. Just like, oh, like what does this person kind of do for me? Like, what do I do for them? And then like, how does it affect me? Having that clarity has helped me kind of conserve energy as well as distribute it where I want to go.
Yeah.
So having that clarity is super important just for your mental health. So have clarity about who's around you, what they do for you, what you do for them, and then professionally stay humble, be confident.
Oh my God, this is so good. I mean, so I'm gonna sit there I'm gonna hit each of you guys again. So investing in yourself. My dad always taught me, buy it once, buy it well.
Yep.
Because why would you buy something inexpensive or just cheap? And then you're going to sit there and say it doesn't work. And I mean, that's like buy it once. Everything I touch is like buy it once, buy it well. So I don't care how much it costs, but I'm not going to go back. So I still have a DVR and everyone's like, what do you mean? I'm like, it works. I'm not throwing it away. It still works. And I still got things. It's good. In regards of going back to the business, where you guys are, I started my company in 2009. When I was sitting in my MBA class and the president of the school came out and said, we're in a recession. We've never seen it before. Real estate. Real estate blew this out of the water and you're overqualified and no one's going to hire you. I'm like, what? My MBA is supposed to get me a bigger check. What do you mean? What do you mean? And so my business this September will celebrate 13 years, started from a capstone. And I still say, why am I still doing this? Oh my God. Because I'm an entrepreneur by necessity, not by desire. I love what I do, but everything about the business, oh dear God, it just, geez. So I love everything that you guys are doing. I love how you're doing it together. I mean, you guys are inspiration on so many different levels. You're real. You're absolutely real. I'm seeing different personas in each of you, where if I had to sit and pick personas, you're very deep. You're very deep. You're very aware of what's around you. You may be the quieter one in the group, but you see things that people wouldn't see. You in the middle, you are a clown. You are the comedy show of the entire group. And you are the package that puts them together, because you can be anyone, but you're the package that brings the entire group together.
Yeah.
So I don't research people. I didn't know who you guys were. I don't know. I literally still don't know what you guys do. I will after we edit this together. I do it on purpose because I want to hear it from your mouth. I was in the media. I know people can edit things like crazy. I don't want to know unless I hear it from your mouth. And then after that, I can find out. You literally are the reason why a lot of people start their own businesses. They hear stories from you and see how really you are, and they hear the pros and the cons. And thank you. Thank you for saying yes. Thank you for, whenever I saw you re-sign up, delete, and then you re-signed up, I'm like, they still want to do it. Okay, they still want to do it. So I'm just happy that you said yes. I definitely took more of your time than I needed to, but I really appreciate everything that came out of your mouth, because it was good. It was like, you guys gave good tips, nuggets. You were real about it. You guys are awesome. I love it. I'm not letting you guys go.
We'll be here. Yeah, thank you. And this is a fantastic interview as well. You're crushing it.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's just good. I know this is like a podcast, like visual thing. At the same time, you have content that's going to distribute different places, but there's also not a lot of Black women in the space that you kind of see doing what you're doing. And exactly. So that on top,
it's just me.
Just that on that alone, honestly, I'm like, I'm supporting, and then obviously the content and everything is fantastic as well. But just seeing that, you're also doing something that you're showing, especially younger Black women, where you can head with something. Like you don't have to do, I don't know, whatever you feel like you have to do. You're kind of showing a different path, which is something that we really like doing as well, is like showing a different side, a different path, and just like giving people something they can see into the future, like in real time. Because that's the biggest thing, I think, is people can't see, aside from, you know, certain jobs like being an entertainer or whatever that are so often associated with this Black culture in general. But you don't have like the examples and stuff. So like seeing a Black woman podcast is like huge. Like that's like a big deal. So thank you for your time and letting us come on to your platform.
Well, you know, it's fun. I mean, it's therapy for me. I mean, I found all these different things, like where if I'm not in front of the computer, which like we're working all the time, and I have a lot of different outlets outside of just running. But I mean, it's fun because I'm meeting people that I don't know. I mean, I don't know you guys. I mean, sometimes my interns find people. Sometimes I just like read about you, or sometimes your name pops up in my LinkedIn that someone was attached, and I'm like, oh, look, business owner, and that's it, business owner, small business owner, and that was it. But you could have come here and you guys all could have fallen flat. I could have been like pulling answers out of your mouth. So like, you kind of worked out for me. The benefit. No, I mean, it's just fun. It's fun. And also when I bring you back, I mean, you're going to meet people from other places that you would have probably never met. And just like, I just want people to get together and just learn from one another, because I mean, there's some nasty ass people out there. And I mean, there's there's nasty ass people. I mean, and I'm like, I'm a woman, I'm a minority. I'm a Haitian first generation. I mean, like I'm dyslexic, and you label. There's 10,000 labels on me. And I'm like, I walk in the room, I'm like, are you nice? I don't care your name. I don't care your pronoun. I don't care. Who are you? Are you nice? Are you working hard? Good. Let's be friends. Let's just talk. That's all I care about. I could care less about everything else that's happening out there. Because I was on the beach the other day, and this old lady was going by with her granddaughter, and she's like, I go, sweetie, do you want to know what I learned about this pandemic? And she's like, what, Nana? She's like, I learned I have a lot of people I don't like in my life. And I'm like, right on, Nana. All right, there we go. Thank you. You guys are wonderful. I mean, this has just been wonderful. So I wish you the best of luck for now. I will definitely be in touch with you guys again on other things. And whenever you need me, I always tell people, like, if you ever need me just for something, I'm always here, just because you guys came here.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, guys.
Good time. Take it easy.